Beautiful Whatnots. It is Tuesday, January 21st in the United States and Canada. And this is a show called What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code WhatChaos and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game. Hi, everybody. My name is DJ Bean. I'm sitting beside Pete Blackburn, and over there is a boy called Sean Dupaz. Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Hi, Pete. How are you?
I'm great.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah, why not?
A little turbulent times in the hockey world. Everybody talking about who's going to get suspended today. What did this guy do? What did he do? What did she do? Who's going to be the president now? Evander Kane said what? All these things. How you feeling about that? The hockey world. How you like hockey?
Hockey's great. Having a good time.
Your Boston Fleet made a 1-for-1 hockey trade.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Sean, can you fill us in on that?
I thought I just did.
The Boston Fleet acquired Jill Saulnier.
They have names.
Jill Saulnier. I don't know who went back the other way, but I know they acquired Jill Saulnier.
Taylor Girard.
PWHL.
Taylor Girard went to the New York Sirens.
There you
go. Okay.
Plural.
Sean, I just sent you something. Pete, we have Bob Stauffer on the show today. We just taped with him. It was very exciting. If you have not been paying attention to Bob Stauffer the last 24 hours, it's the most amazing thing in the world. We'll get to just a snippet of his stuff with Frank Saravalli yesterday. But first, I would love if you could tell the lovely folks what is on the show today.
I would also love to tell the lovely folks what's on the show today. Today on the show, we have D Paparazzi. What's that about?
I thought that was going to be like the easiest
That's
one.
like the easiest
D
one by far.
Paparazzi?
Well, I guess Bob Stauffer joins and McDavid Suspended are pretty straightforward. Not to
Yeah.
get ahead of you,
Yeah.
but
D Paparazzi? What am I missing?
I mean, the first 4 letters are smacking you right in the face.
DePaz? DePop? I'm so confused.
Just
What am I missing?
smack dab in the face.
It's okay.
Pop.
Well, now there's pressure. Now he's probably feeling pressure, and he's not going to get it. And that's not because he's dumb. It's because it's a thing that happens on to people on Jeopardy, performance anxiety. De paparazzi.
Still don't get it.
Sean De paparazzi.
Still don't get it.
People snapping photos of Sean. He's a famous person.
Blue Jackets.
He's,
I got it. Okay. The Blue Jackets included Sean on their hype video, which is very cool. Very cool moment yesterday. Shout out to the Blue Jackets. We'll talk about that. But that was not a gimme by any means. I don't feel bad about not getting that one.
Gimme. I think that if it were, once you got that it was Sean DePaz, I thought that's when you were home free.
Yeah. I also did, but
Okay. We also have Connor McDavid suspended. Bob Stauffer is going to join to talk about that. And boy, is he not happy. And finally, global warming. Okay. We're talking about the issues here today on the show. Talking about global warming.
Sean gets an assist on this because I told him where I wanted to go with it. And he said, oh, well, you could have said this. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to say that, I might as
we
well
workshopped it a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know one of the biggest consequences of global warming?
We all die?
Well, yeah.
So what's the second biggest consequences of global warming?
The melting of the polar ice caps.
Mm-hmm. And then the water level rising.
Yeah. Do you know what creature famously
Penguins
lives?
will die. Penguins will die because of global warming. And penguins will die because of Kyle Dubas. Because he's having a fire sale, allegedly. So
that's a correct answer, and you didn't show your work properly. So
that was it. I don't think you really made the connection between fire sale and global warming.
The penguins and heat, and there's fire,
The fire is melting the
so
polar
the
ice caps
are melting.
killing
We
the
all got
Penguins.
to this. We got to the right answers.
Showing your work is overrated. If you got the right answer, you got the right answer.
I feel like right now no one's being mean to Pete, but if I were Pete, I would feel like everyone's like way up my fucking dick right now when they just need to back off.
That's exactly how I feel.
Okay, I hope I'm not doing that. I hope Sean is not doing that. We're going to get to the Connor McDavid suspension stuff and obviously all the tire Myers with Bob in just a few minutes. But I do want to set up how much of a rock star Bob has been the last 24 hours, because he has Frank Saravalli on Oilers Now, and they get the news while Frank Saravalli is doing their hit, and Bob could not have been less interested in what Frank was saying. And Frank was killing it, and Bob was clearly just like ready to fucking punch somebody. Sean, I sent you one of the little clips, but there's a million amazing ones if you could play it.
Marcus Johansson, that should have been a 2-minute penalty. Why wasn't it called? It works both ways.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's a joke.
He's the best.
That rocked.
He was so mad yesterday, and I think he's cooled off a little bit, but you can tell in his interview with us, he's still mad, still peeved over the NHL's decision. I think Bob is famously the voice of Edmonton, and he speaks for the fan base. The fan base is pissed, and I think the Oilers are pissed, and I think that we talked about it in the video that we did right after the news came down yesterday on YouTube, if you want to go check that out. But we talked about the messaging that is coming from the Oilers, from the media, about how like they're not backing off on anything. And you got a column from Mark Spector saying that like, hey, Connor McDavid is sick of this shit and he's standing up for himself. And Corey Perry said in the locker room yesterday, yeah, like, he's got to do that for himself. He's got to respond if somebody's going to hold him down on the ice. Otherwise, people and opponents are going to take advantage of him. So I think the Oilers are very mad right now, and I think that they are, I don't know if I would say like going on the offensive, but they're not happy with
I think the
ruling.
Oilers should be mad. I don't do like hit chat, and I don't like suspension talk and all that, so I'm going to get over Connor McDavid being suspended for 3 games. It's more games than I thought he should have gotten, and I do think this is the old putting the defendant on the stand. You should not want to do that, because when you put the defendant on the stand, what happens? They're open to cross.
That's true.
So if you say, okay, we want to share this part of the story, okay, well then that means that then I get to share the whole part of the story. So I don't like that the Connor McDavid treatment conversation has been opened up, because if you want people to be babies about it, we can be babies about it and say, well, then why isn't he drawing more penalties? And yeah, you're hearing everybody say that, but it's because they have a point. So that's a whole conversation I didn't wish we had to have. I wish that none of this were happening. I just want everybody to live in harmony, but I do love some of my favorite people getting mad. It's very fun and it's very entertaining. Before we get to Bob Stauffer, we need to, I like doing this. Before we get to like the big obvious this has to be done, just have a little bit of fun and give Sean to pause his love, because the Columbus Blue Jackets put out a video yesterday that was quite sick of some of the most important voices in hockey talking puck. Check it out.
It would really be cool to see Columbus back.
I love it.
Boys mounted up.
Yeah.
This is the story of the season right now.
The Blue Jackets are the hottest team in hockey.
And they played a song.
That's
Sean
right, baby.
DePaz, the face of hockey. Cannon Boys mount up.
Yeah, if
with
that doesn't
Pete
become a
being like,
rallying
yeah.
cry, if Cannon Boys mount up doesn't become a rallying cry for Blue Jackets fans, what are we doing?
Cannon Boys. Yeah, I mean, I was cool. Shout out the Blue Jackets. But I'm a Cannon boy. I don't know what else to say. I'm a Cannon boy. I've been one for a very long time. and Cannon boys need to mount up.
People were going crazy in the comments over this. Sean, if you could just put up just like a sample of what some of the comments were on this video. All right, so we have Pete Blackburn saying, "That's my producer."
Yeah.
I said, "That's my friend."
You said that after I sent mine to be a dick.
They both
I'm
say
so
18
mad.
hours ago.
I'm so mad.
No, it both happened 18 hours ago.
I got that notification and I was like, what a fucking dickhead.
I do love that this started with like, Pete's not stupid. I hope I'm not trying to make Pete feel stupid. And then there's also this.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not
This is not
show is just an
stupid. This is
assault
not
on me.
stupid. Yeah, this is not stupid. To be fair, this is just Pete liking me slightly less than DJ.
not less, just differently.
Yeah, fair enough.
He
It
likes
was
you-
a clip of you being the producer on the show.
I had nothing to do with this being included in the show. I didn't. To be quite frank, I don't know if I saw that either of you even commented yesterday. I didn't.
Well, we both tagged you.
So then who's
Well,
the
I don't
bad
go. I don't
friend?
go on
Who's
Instagram.
Who's
really the bad
muted?
friend?
I don't go on Instagram all that often. Like I see Twitter stuff, but I'm not a huge Instagram guy.
We're
I don't
so
know if-
consumed with our phones. We're always looking at screens.
I like Eric Ripperson's theory. Is this a Severance reference? Sean is a friend to one of us and is a producer, a coworker to the other one.
It could be.
You know about the Severance lore?
No.
You know about the plot of Severance?
No,
Gotta
I have
watch
no idea what it is at all.
Severance is like, it's about a guy who gets a surgery where he can split his work life and his personal life. And so they both kind of exist separately without knowing about the other side.
Mm.
So it's one of us lives in,
In work world, the other is friend world.
that's right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Sean, so we know Sean's innie, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a little bit of a spoiler.
Oh. Sean's not going to watch it.
I
He
don't-
doesn't watch TV either.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of interest in watching it, to be honest.
Wow.
Not interest in the right word. I just like I don't really watch shows.
Just Taskmaster.
Yeah, I watch stuff I can have on in the background.
Okay, well, if you need proof that I am not being mean to Pete or getting on his case, watch this conversation we just had with Bob Stauffer, because I am clearly the nicest person in the conversation. Here's Bob Stauffer. All right, let's bring him on now. Bob Stauffer, the Oilers radio color commentator, host of Oilers Now on 880 Ched. And if you did not hear Bob on Oilers Now on Monday, go back and listen to that. This is going to be good too, but go back and listen to that. He was fantastic with Frank Saravalli. Bob, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, well, thanks, guys. I mean, we found out when the suspension was during the Saravalli interview, and I was shocked and dismayed that it was a 3-game suspension. I thought they're probably going to do 2. Outside chance they were going to do 1. I did a podcast yesterday with Biz and Witt, and we never once discussed the possibility of a 3-game suspension. So, yeah, that's what do you guys think about it? You know, what do you think? What do you think, Pete?
I did not think it was going to be 3 games. I thought maybe 2, but I think that like my initial reaction was this was a makeup call. They were tacking on something about for the Marcus Johansson thing, and they wanted to do some sort of, hey, look, see, we treat Connor just like we treat everybody else. There's a longer discussion to be had there, but
I wasn't that surprised. I really wasn't. And I was preferring 2. I wasn't shocked by 3. And the reason why I kind of justified 3 was a cross-checking incident involving Connor McDavid last season in the playoffs. He took one from Carson Soucy. They gave Carson Soucy 1 game, which for a playoff suspension, they typically, I feel like they cut it in half or go a little bit less than they normally would. Yeah. And that one wasn't quite as intentful, for lack of a better term, because he was pushed from behind and then took the cross-check in the face. And so this one was more of a revenge type situation for McDavid, which I get why they would tack on maybe a game or so. But this brings it back to like a bigger takeaway for me is that with McDavid and Myers both getting the same suspension, what the league essentially is saying is that it doesn't matter what happens to precede the infraction. All that matters is the infraction itself. Do you believe that that's the right way to approach it?
Well, first of all, Pete, I'm a little surprised in your take.
he's being a
because
bitch.
I figured you would.
A bit of a bitch.
I figured
this
you
one.
would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. you were all over the NHL Prime thing, weren't you, Pete? So there you
I
go.
was.
Those paychecks keep coming.
You get residuals on those, or what's going on? But with all
Buddy, I
seriousness, yes, I thought of that incident, and it was a tough one for me personally because I know Carson Soucy. I played against Carson's dad, Mike. I go with Jerry Johansson as agent out to Irma once a year for a golf tournament, and I like Carson so much that when he was with Seattle, I was kind of hoping that maybe the Oilers would make a move for him. But in the sequence that the game was over. Connor McDavid was not pushed into Carson Soucy. He was cross-checked by Nikita Zadorov into Carson Soucy, and Soucy cross-checked him right in the face, and was frankly lucky that there wasn't a lot more damage than McDavid. And it happened, as the clock was winding down. This one, I looked at Garland, and what Garland did from a gamesmanship perspective, and if you're a Canucks partisan or you're playing against McDavid, hey, you take that. It was smart. He engaged and got the top player in the world out of the play at the end of the game with 15 seconds left and until the 2-second marker. So if you want to discuss why were there not more penalties called, where there haven't been, in my opinion, enough penalties called this year on Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid. They're two players that, if you look at their penalties drawn per 60 minutes played, they're shockingly low compared to the rest of the players in the league. So I actually thought the one last year in the playoffs was worse than McDavid's, and I also thought Myers was, it's not like Evan Bouchard was engaged with him. He just cross-checked him right in the face, whereas McDavid was embroiled in this battle. I don't even know if McDavid technically got Garland. I know for a fact that Garland didn't have a mark on him after the game. And to Garland's credit, he didn't stay down. Okay? He got up right away and didn't try to sell it or anything. And the irony is Judd Moldaver represents both Connor Garland and Connor McDavid. So, you guys know how the process works. In these situations, when the hearing takes place, McDavid's in the hearing, Stan Bowman's in the hearing, Judd Moldaver, his agent, is in the hearing. And I do think and I know where you guys are going. I think it's problematic for the league on a bigger issue. They just simply aren't protecting their stars. And I look at the NFL, and maybe they've gone too far protecting the quarterbacks, and especially Patrick Mahomes. The irony of this happening on a Saturday as we're watching the Chiefs in Houston play in two BS unnecessary roughness calls and extended drives for Kansas City. They're good enough without getting that. Some might say that was too far one way, and I think the NHL's got to recognize that they're making record-setting profits, record-setting revenue, and we're in a situation here where, this is, it's becoming a star-driven league. Some people should keep that in mind.
Well, so, you mentioned it yesterday. You referenced Daniel Nugent-Bowman's line that was these two cross-checks happened because the officials didn't do their job. And that's ultimately what it boils down to for me, in that if they called the penalty in the first place, none of this happens. I don't think Connor reacts the way that he does. Myers doesn't have the opportunity to cross-check Bouchard in the face. And we're not having any of these discussions. Other than that, I just personally don't really agree with this ruling from the Department of Player Safety that both incidents were equal. Because I think Myers, like you mentioned, was worse because it was more predatory versus McDavid was seeking revenge for feeling wronged by the officials, which he was in that situation. And I think ultimately that matters, and it's mattered a lot in previous rulings from the Department of Player Safety, where they factor in a lot of things that are leading to an instance, and they didn't in this case. And that's the problem that I kind of have with it, where I would give McDavid 2 games and Myers 3 games, but if that happens, then the Department of Player Safety is accused of favoriting McDavid, and I think that was their cop-out. We'll just give them both 3 games each.
Yeah. It's interesting that the 3 games are all home games. Imagine if Edmonton was going in as St. Louis and Chicago in 2 weeks from now. a couple things. I mean, probably the easiest thing to do politically is what they did, right? I thought they were both going to get 2-game suspension, so I'm surprised and disappointed that it's 3 games. I don't think it's the same, and I think the tone was set in that game earlier. Like, the Canucks, you guys have been there, right, to Vancouver?
Oh, yeah.
I think you saw during 2011 when the Bruins played.
That's when I was there.
Vancouver's a unique market. First of all, I want to just point out they're a well-managed team, the Canucks, well-coached team. They got the second best American player in the league right now, Quinn Hughes, in my opinion. And maybe I should put Zach Werenski there as well, because the best player is Austin Matthews, best American player. They've had 2 of the classiest players of all time in the Sedins. That said, there seems to be a lot of emotion in that Vancouver market over the last 30-plus years. And so, things can get a little wild there. They have before in the past. And it gets fueled up. I don't know what it is, but and that night, the Canucks had 2 crappy performances at home back-to-back, guys. Lost, 6-1, 5-1 type thing. And they brought their A game. Ray Ferraro had said on Oilers Now on Thursday when we were in Colorado, the Canucks have an A game or they have a D game. Well, they brought their A game. But they were picking off and running interference on McDavid early. JT Miller was engaged, and he cross-checked Bouchard with about, 10 minutes in the first period, right in the back from behind. And no call, so Bouchard's like, well, fine, I'll give him a slash back. And they called a really soft call. And for me, it kind of started there. I kind of thought that game was being managed a bit, I got to tell you. I think Wes McCauley's one of the best referees in the NHL, but I thought they had a tough night. And I think it played a factor. I think Connor's had, I don't want to speak for Connor on this issue, but you guys saw what happened against LA, the Monday night in Edmonton for the Oilers' lone home game over an 8-game stretch. Got slew-footed by Adrian Kempe. I think that's the cheapest thing you could do on the ice. And it kind of boiled over.
Yeah, so what I don't like, and Pete knows that hit chat makes my skin crawl, and I hate going through the plays in slow motion and everything, but this Connor McDavid thing and the talk of treatment of Connor McDavid has opened it up to how Connor McDavid is treated differently. And everybody wants to make it about how he gets away with stuff. But if we're opening up this conversation, then we have to point out what you pointed out yesterday, which is that he's 5 billionth in the league in penalties drawn. And the biggest way in which Connor McDavid is treated differently by officials is that penalties are not called on his opponents. So when he is in that meeting yesterday with the Department of Player Safety, speak for him. Where do you think his head is? Because do you think he goes into this saying, like, well, what the fuck now? Are we going to talk about what your boys did out there?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for him because I don't know what he said. I think he's been really good to the league, and I think he's been really important for the league. It's funny. You watched what happened between Boston and Florida. Did anybody bring up amongst the media in Boston? The Greg Campbell, Colin Campbell angle at all? Did that get brought up at all?
No, because we're Greg Campbell people in Boston.
That's
like
true.
Greg Campbell.
Yeah, we like him.
I just knew there weren't. If you take a look at the history of the NHL playoffs, the further it goes round by round, I think there's fewer calls. Okay, this year, I'm not even saying go back. It's funny. I had a conversation with a Hall of Famer today that had a stint in Edmonton, and you go back to that 05-06 season. They called everything, man. I don't want that either. But I do think if I was Connor, I'd be exasperated. So I have a theory on why there's not more calls, because I don't think officials purposely go out of their way to screw McDavid over. Okay? So my theory is this. He's the most advanced player we've ever seen. Is it possible, Pete and DJ, that he's so good and so strong that he powers his way through plays and he's moving it with such pace that the referees aren't quite in position or aren't 100% sure if there's little hooks or little grabs? A lot of the referees are, former There's some former youth sports players that are referees and linesmen, former, guys that played in the American Hockey League. This is, in theory, the best crop that we've had in a long time. The one thing that should happen is there's zero accountability in terms of the media because nobody accesses the officials after the game. But if we give the benefit of the doubt that, this is the best generation of refs we've got, we have a 2-referee system, is it possible that sometimes calls just get missed because he's so damn good?
No, I'm a company man. I think they always get it right and they're perfect. And
I got you going there,
everything, baby. That's the Shield. Respect the Shield. Gary Bettman's our friend.
Gary Bettman is our friend. He said we talk about the issues. Did you hear that?
Yes.
He said we talk about the issues.
So, Pete, what do you think? Is it possible? Like, I don't think that anybody consciously goes into the game and says, I'm not calling anything. I don't think it just, a feel happens for it. Then the players have to read and react, right? Like, if you know that you can test the officials and they're not going to call stuff on McDavid and you can slow them down, as an opposition player, you're going to push that envelope as far as you can. Do you not agree?
I definitely agree with that. And I also agree with what you alluded to before, is that there's no accountability for officials. And that bothers me. And we've talked about it for the past couple of years, is like, why are these guys not available to answer questions after games in which they clearly fuck up? Like, none of this happens if Wes McCauley does his job. Again,
you didn't think Wes McCauley's soundbite was good enough?
And that's another part of it. The guy clearly loves being the center of attention and being a showman. He gives minors to everybody else on the ice for basically no fucking reason as a part of that whole thing. He likes to be in front of the camera. He likes to have his shine. Let him answer a question when he doesn't get a call right after a game. That whole part annoys me so much.
See, here's what happens when you're a team broadcaster. It's a loser's lament to bitch about officiating.
Oh, yeah.
It is, right? It is. It comes across, as... And when you have a good team and you have, like, I'm tougher on the Oilers now because they're a 50-win-a-season team than I was when they were going through, I'm in year 17. And when the team was in a rebuild, and yes, it went too long, the reality of the situation is they just weren't very good. So how hard do you kick a team like that in the teeth? This team that we're watching right now, it's got the third best points percentage. This matchup tonight, we're getting robbed of the matchup because McDavid's not playing. But it's number 1 versus number 3 in the league, with Washington and Edmonton, two of the top 3-point percentage teams in the league, the best 2 teams since November the 9th. There's expectation with this. And so they should have a higher standard for what they can achieve, which conversely lends itself, for me, broadcasting the game, it takes a lot of self-discipline not to get angrier during the game when I think there's an obvious foul that's been missed. So it comes across like a loser's lament, just like it does if you're sitting there beaking off about a 3-game suspension. But I just don't think I don't think it's fair. I know how much extra McDavid does for the league and for the various league rights holders. And so I find a little bit of it. I find this, when you combine those factors, to be quite exasperating.
I think that the way that McDavid can get back at the league is say, all right, you know what? I'm not doing league stuff. I'm doing independent podcasts. And finally, he comes on our show. What do you think, Bob?
I cannot help you with that. Let's put it that way. So,
you've helped us with some stuff. I can't imagine anybody could help get Connor McDavid on this podcast. He would run through these glass windows 2 questions in.
Yeah, no. That's a funny. No, it's funny because when the Oilers, I'm old enough to watch the evolution of the Oilers in the 80s. And I remember them playing specifically the Islanders in 81 and again in 83. And I thought the Islanders got a lot of calls in those series. But I got news for you. By the time Edmonton played Boston in 88-90, I thought some of their veteran players got some veteran calls in those series. And that's what happens is I think, there's been studies done in international soccer because it's international officiating and it's not club level, league level games. The younger attacking fullbacks, as an example, like Alphonso Davies, those guys can, now he doesn't play that position for Canada, but in international sport, fast guys draw more calls. Because what happens in international soccer is you're not comfortable dealing with the veteran player the way you are if you're working in a league. So you can take. I'm telling you right now that this is the case. So I do think over time players do tend to earn the respect of the officials and get more calls. I'm just a little bit surprised in the downturn of calls this year with McDavid and Nathan McKinnon, who for me are the two most explosive players in the game. And I'm trying to kind of figure it out in my mind, because when a guy's 197th in penalties drawn per 60, that is a bizarre statistic for me.
The worst part of this for me is that we're not seeing McDavid or Myers in the rematch later this week. How much carryover do you think there is from this whole incident into that game with those two not involved?
I guess time will tell. I mean, I don't know if the Oilers are built, Pete, to have a lot of carryover. Okay? They have a different type of team. They have a thinking man's veteran team, right? So, I don't know. I just and Vancouver's got other dynamics that could potentially or potentially not be in play. Like Miller in that game drove a lot of what happened for the Canucks. He was physical. He was taking some liberties out there and frankly getting away with it a little bit. And he had a great game. Like they were the better. So I don't have that question for you. But I will tell you right now, I'm disappointed what's happened. I figured as soon as it happened, it was at least a 1-game suspension. 3 games stunned me.
Well, I got an idea now. You just gave me an idea. The Oilers are without Connor McDavid. They could use a center. JT Miller's on the trade block. He's big, he's nasty, and famously, he hates the Vancouver Canucks. So get him on board, get him in the locker room, have him fight his former teammates. He wants to do that so badly already. So there you go. That's
quite an angle too, but we have a thing called salary cap. So
Derek Ryan seemingly could be expendable for Edmonton, we've seen. So maybe just the trade is 1 for 1.
That's right.
The trade is 1 for 1. I infamously once heard that before involving Taylor Hall.
And you know what? That trade didn't end up being that bad. So relax, everybody. Everyone was so mean to Peter Chiarelli for that. I do want to know, how does everybody move on from this? Because as an Oilers fan, my fear is that this becomes a distraction and that it sticks with them the whole way and it becomes a Brady versus the NFL thing. And I don't want that.
Well, wait a sec. Did Brady win after the Brady versus NFL thing happened?
He sure did, but he was Brady. And granted, I think that McDavid, I won't piss off Patriots fans.
Sport. Different sport, right? Like different sport. I think that the quarterback in the NFL, obviously, which do they not protect the quarterback in the NFL? I'm just wondering.
They
do a little bit.
Protect the quarterback in the NFL.
A little bit.
Can't even sneeze on him.
Yes. I think that they have the ability to have greater influence on the game than an individual star forward just because of the nature of the sport. I'll tell you exactly how the Oilers, I'm going down to do an availability here in 10 minutes, and the way for Edmonton to move on is for the players that are playing to rally around and support Connor and play their ass off over the next 3 games. That's the best way you can respond.
I mean, to anybody who does DFS, we're a big DFS show. Leon Draisaitl,
he's gonna have
more
8
than
goals. He's gonna have 8 goals over the next 3 games.
Draisaitl's gonna cement the next 5 hearts over the next 3 games, I think, because that's just what he's done.
He's had an unbelievable season, and we had the McKinnon matchup against McDavid and Draisaitl the other night. I know what you guys were thinking watching Colorado build up a 3-0 lead. Edmonton on the second of a back-to-back, difficult back. You're thinking, no way they're coming back. Well, they did. And you know what? They've kind of mastered the art of coming back, which is why but they cannot afford tonight to get behind against Minnesota because they don't have Connor. So the next 3 games, they can't be spotting teams 2 and 3 goal leads.
All right. Well, we'll have you on in a few days when they go 3-0, and then it looks like they're better without Connor McDavid. And then not only is he a bad guy, but he's a losing player. I don't think they'll be better.
All right. Awesome. Hey, guys, thanks for your time, and thanks for having me on.
You're the best,
we
Bob.
Love you.
Talk to you later. We're not kidding on this whole DFS thing. Prize Picks right now is offering over 2.5 points on a demon for Leon Draisaitl tonight. That means that it's harder to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But when it does, it hits at, let's say, a nice price point.
So it can hit at that prize point?
It can hit at that prize point. Or there's a goblin that's over 0.5 point for Draisaitl, but that is like, what are we doing here? That's not personally what I would do, but you have your choice on Prize Picks. And this is indeed an ad read for Prize Picks because they are the place where we like to hit the ice this hockey season. It's the best place to get real money action while watching our favorite sport. And you can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. It is incredible. They now offer MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. There is so much you can do on there. And I mean, I am perusing right now this Capitals Edmonton game. More than 1.5 points for Alex Ovechkin. I might sit that out, quite frankly.
Why?
I
think Stu is unbeatable?
I see just one straight up. And I don't know, maybe they rally around not having McDavid out there.
That's what happens when he got hurt earlier in the year. That kind of galvanized them. They were like, we all need to get our shit together and we need to start winning games.
Let me fill this out right now. I could do more than 0.5 point for Connor McMichael.
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No.
How you feeling about Dylan Strome?
I would just lay in on Draisaitl. Like, I think the Oilers are going to be furious, and I think Draisaitl has proven this season that he can light it up when Connor McDavid is not in the lineup.
Okay, so I don't know what the lines look like. Could somebody look up what the Oilers lines are in morning skate? I think they have an optional today.
I did see a clip of Draisaitl on the ice playing keep away with like a little kid.
All right, that helps.
So there, Bob himself has not tweeted out lines or anything from the morning.
Last I see from Daily Faceoff, updated January 21st, Vasily Podkolzin and Leon Draisaitl, Victor Arvidsson, the first line. Jeff Skinner, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman, Matthias Janmark, Adam Henrique, Connor Brown, Kasperi. Somebody said that Kasperi Kapanen's new nickname is Kasperi Klappinen those cheeks. I don't know how legitimate that DM we got was.
It's romantic
on Instagram, but there you go. And Noel Philp and Corey Perry in the fourth line.
Okay, I'll be honest. I like the Oilers lineup better when Connor McDavid is in it, and then you kind of get to do whatever you want.
It's a real take.
But Draisaitl, I'll still go over 2.5 points, or more than 2.5 points. Nuge, I'll do more than 1.5 points, and Zach Hyman, 1.5 points. So that is $20 to win $240. Why not? Let's do it.
Let it rip, baby.
Evan Bouchard, more than 1.5 points. That could really make it sing. Ooh, that makes it crazy. Whatever. I'm doing it.
Okay.
Let's see if I can win $570 with Prize Picks, and let's see if you can win whatever you feel like putting out there. It's our favorite daily fantasy platform. It is really our kind of time. And you can sign up today and get $50 instantly. When you play $5, you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts added select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. So download the app today. Use code WhatChaos to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is WhatChaos to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Apparently, Cheeks Klappinen has been a thing for a little bit. So apologies for not knowing that, but shout out to the person who slid into the Instagram DMs to tell us that. Sean, we got some super chats before I get on to this next ad read.
Yeah, just one or two, but from one guy.
From Josh Hutchinson, Chaos Chain update, ? Also, it's January. Has anyone been sucked off yet? No one's been sucked off.
Nobody has been sucked off.
That's all I know.
We might need to start.
We might need to start sucking some teams off.
Yes.
I mean, if there's any team that's going to get sucked off, it's probably the Blackhawks. Like, they're getting sucked off first, right?
I think the Buffalo Sabres should be sucked off.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not ruling out the Blackhawks winning like 5 of 7 at some point.
Yeah, but
which won't get them anywhere.
Not going to get them anywhere.
I'm not sucking off a team while they're winning 5 of 7. You're not going to
fair.
catch me doing that.
I think that's fair. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Bauer Hockey. Go to Bauer.com. Look at the tab at the very top of the page, the sale page. Oh boy, is that place a party, because Bauer's hockey sale page offers a wide range of discounted products, including skates, sticks, protective gear, apparel that caters to players of all levels, and consumers can find significant savings on premium hockey equipment known for its quality, its durability, and its performance. The page highlights the seasonal deals and clearance items, and it gives you an opportunity to purchase trusted gear at a reduced price. Trust us. We love Bauer, whether it's their equipment, their skates. We ripped it up in Chicago and Wrigley Field with our Bauer skates. I'm wearing a pair of the joggers right now. I wore my Bauer shirt to the gym this morning. It was incredible. And some of the current key sales going on right now, 30% off Nexus Sync and Easton's S17 sticks, up to 40% off select skates, up to 25% off select helmets, and up to 50% off select apparel styles and collabs.
I'm seeing a pair of pants that are normally $65 go for $19.50 right now.
Bauer pants are my favorite pants. I almost wore those exact same pants today.
Wow.
And
instead you wore cooler pants.
No,
like fashion
cooler,
wise.
just different. Yeah, I was like, if I'm gonna do a t-shirt, I'll also.
I bet these are more comfortable.
Those
are
are way
stylish.
more. Those are my favorite pants. Really.
These are incredible pants. So if you want to get your hands on some pants, go to Bauer.com. To the sale
How about
page.
it? Sounds pretty good.
Get your hands on some pants. Bauer.com. Go to the sale tab at the top. And because we love you, we got a free shipping code for you. Free ship WC for free shipping on any of your orders from Bauer.com. It is the place to be. Go there, get fit.
Avery is in the chat, and it's reminding me that I am like 4 days overdue to tell you two off the air the DM that Avery sent me during all of that madness between the Canucks and the Oilers. It was the best.
I bet it's crazy.
Avery, love you so much, brother. Something I've wanted to talk about. And
oh my God! Wait, hold on.
What?
I said somebody said Bauer tattoo tramp stamp for Pete. Can you?
Excuse me. Oh, yeah, you have a tramp stamp right now.
I have a tramp stamp right now. Ellen had a girls' night on Saturday, and somehow I got convinced to do a tramp stamp that says "No boys allowed," and it's like in like the Barbie font. It says "No boys allowed." And this morning, I was in the gym in the locker room, naked, getting ready to shower, and I completely forgot that I had a tramp stamp tattoo that says "No boys allowed" while I'm in the men's locker room at the gym.
That's insane.
That's quite the way to start my day.
Honestly, that's so much cooler than being naked in the gym without a "No boys allowed" tramp stamp temporary tattoo.
That was just an insane 30 seconds of the show.
It was insane for me to stand up and like basically pull my pants down in front of DJ, but it's nothing he's never seen.
I mean, yeah, dude, just a "No boys allowed" tattoo it doesn't need to mean anything. I like tattoos that don't mean anything. That's like some hard ass text to put on yourself. What if you just get on your bicep, "No boys allowed"? Doesn't need to mean anything.
I don't want to have to explain that.
You don't have to. It doesn't. I had to explain my tattoo the other day, and I was like, doesn't mean anything. Still ended up talking about it for 10 minutes because it's a little interesting talking point.
I think, but you saying it doesn't mean anything in the case of the tattoo that Pete has, it raises way more questions than it answers.
And the answer is sorry for party rocking.
Sure.
It's just that he's cool. That's why it doesn't need to mean anything. Something I've wanted to talk about for a couple of weeks now. And it's not totally related to this next topic, but I have to get it in. The sellers are not going to be the sellers this year.
What do you mean?
A lot of the names that we've thrown out there, Ivan Provorov, David Savard, like, why are the Blue Jackets trading away a top four defenseman? Why are the Canadians, if they're going to make a push for the playoffs, isn't it more valuable to get in the playoffs and get those guys that experience? So we don't need to have a long conversation about that, but every year, you go into the season thinking these guys will be available at the deadline, and then the list is usually pretty similar to that. This year, there's some names that I wouldn't be surprised. Like Frank Vetrano is one that ended up signing and staying, so now he's off that list. I don't know if the Blue Jackets are going to sell anymore. I don't think that they should. I definitely don't want them to at this point. You're a Canadiens fan. You declared that yesterday. Do you want your Canadiens selling?
I think there's a difference between being a seller and being an asset manager. Like if you have an expiring free agent and like it's not a bottom of the roster player, but maybe like a bottom six player or a a second or third pairing defenseman who's on an expiring deal, and you can get a player back plus, or get just a player back who's maybe a little bit worse with term and on a good deal. Like, that's not selling. That is just managing and moving around your assets. And I think that those teams can still do that without sacrificing their playoff position.
Ivan Provorov for Josh Brown.
Sure.
Something clean like that. That's all to say, you wonder, well, who's going to sell now? Enter the Pittsburgh Penguins, because per Responsible DFSer, it's called Responsible Gambler, is the name of this outlet. An NHL source close to the situation has confirmed to RG that everyone on the current roster except Captain Sidney Crosby, longtime alternate captain of Evgeny Malkin, veteran forward Brian Rust, forward Philip Tomasino, and defenseman Owen Pickering is available for the right price before the March 7th NHL trade deadline. Okay. I meet that with you don't get to call it a fire sale if you're saying, okay, except for these like 7 guys. The Penguins, you don't have 7 good players. If you're doing a fire sale, you're Crosby available, Malkin available.
That was my big takeaway. It was like, the Penguins are making everyone available except the guys with value.
Yeah. So if you're calling here are the guys that they could be talking about. And Responsible Gambler asked the source, so does that mean Chris Letang is available? And the source said, I don't know. So Chris Letang might not even be available. But if you were to take the players who were not just mentioned, maybe Chris Letang, Erik Karlsson, Rickard Rakell, Michael Bunting, Kevin Hayes, Ryan Graves, Marcus Pettersson. Honestly, I was going to say something graphic. That's not moving my needle, so to speak.
I can probably guess what you were gonna say. Pettersson is probably like one of the more valuable pieces there, but like Erik Karlsson, throwing that name out there, how much appeal does that have to anybody at this point?
Nobody should want Erik Karlsson.
No.
$10 million, bad player.
I don't know if I would say bad player, but like definitely not the guy that you're going to be paying for. Like, not the guy who signed that deal. And it's just like, what are the Penguins attempting to accomplish by, and I think the Responsible Gambler report says that like, they're not looking to rebuild. They are looking to retool. Like, they think that they can still contend. They just want to fire sale and move some guys in and out and change their roster. Isn't that how they got here in the first place?
They've been retooling for like 4 straight years.
Right. And as a result, they don't have anybody in the system who, like, I think they're like 20th in prospect rankings. They don't have actual, quote unquote, like capital G guys.
Yes.
Beyond like their core, their aging core. In which case, some of their aging core guys may not be capital G guys anymore. Like, wouldn't consider Erik Karlsson a capital G guy anymore. I don't know if I'd consider Chris Letang a capital G guy anymore.
No.
Like, Malkin's having a bad year. Crosby's obviously still a dog, still a guy. But how much do you even have there to do a fire sale in which you're going to get anything back that helps you retool your team on the fly?
I don't know if we did this on the show or off the show, but at some point I did count how many guys the Penguins had, and I think they had the lowest number of guys that I've counted on a team. Obviously, other teams have guys who are not as good as Sidney Crosby, but like 2 surefire guys, and then from there you're like, is this a guy? Is this a guy? Like, Kevin Hayes was a guy.
Was a guy.
And that is, shout out Kevin Hayes, his fingerprints are all over this thing. The Penguins have so many former guys that their idea of retooling by peeling off a 37-year-old Erik Karlsson is so unrealistic to me. So I think,
especially when you consider Erik Karlsson has a no movement clause. So
I think he should want to get out of there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, he still can control where he wants to go. Like, if he doesn't want to live in a certain place, if he doesn't want to play in a certain market, they may not be able to get the best deal possible to them because of Erik Karlsson's no movement clause.
Great comment from Richard Ryder, who that is for sure that person's name. Less fire sale, more of a garage sale.
Like more of an estate sale because they're already dead.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I looked up the definition of fire sale. The original definition of fire sale is just selling this remaining stuff off after a building has caught on fire, which seems very appropriate for the situation because the shit has been burnt to the ground, not by their own doing, but somebody set it on fire, and now you just have ashes left that you're trying to sell. I think fire sale works.
Doesn't who said it in the Taylor in the chat makes a good point. Does this not remind you of Erik Karlsson's former team and sort of how they approach things, where they had a lot of guys, they had a really good core in San Jose, and they kept trying to keep that window open as the pieces peeled off. Some of the older guys got a little bit worse, and they just kept saying, we can retool, we can keep this window open, until it got to a point where things were so bad and like so like bleak that they got stuck in a position where they were the worst team in the league for a couple of years. And sure, they ended up with Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith because of it. But like, does it not feel inevitable that the Penguins are going to end up in that same place and have some really, really bleak years until they luck out in the lottery?
Yes, and far be it for the Penguins to ever luck out in the lottery. What's scary, though, if you're a Penguins fan, is that this has worked a couple of times in recent years. So the Penguins are going to believe in retooling. The Bruins retooled. That, though, it needs to be noted, was a unique circumstance in which a veteran, like first and a half line center, came back and played for you for basically free in David Krejci. So you were just gifted that. So many things went perfectly.
And they didn't have a bunch of dead money.
Right.
Which the Penguins are almost certainly going to have a bunch of dead money, whether it's Jari, whether it's the retaining on Karlsson, if they are able to find a partner. Like, they're not going to be able to move a lot of these guys without retaining money.
The other team that retooled brilliantly is, of course, the current President's Trophy favorite Washington Capitals. And the but there is they've drafted well.
Yeah.
They've done it the right way and then taken some risks that are paying off. The Penguins aren't in the Bruins position of a few years ago, and they're not in the Capitals position of a few years ago, where someone's just going to walk back to them for basically nothing, and they're going to get a bunch of sweetheart deals. I know that we love that Sidney Crosby makes $8.7 million against the cap, but as you said, Pete, they've got too many other guys making bad money that offsets that. Sean?
No, I was just going to say, too, that like with the Capitals, I think you could make the argument that their goal wasn't even to really win hockey games. It was just to like be kind of not terrible while Ovi was finishing out his career in his record chase. And Penguins can't even really do that. I always wonder with these situations how much of this is like the GM and how much of it is ownership being like, we've got fucking Sidney Crosby. You're not getting rid of him, and you're not blowing this shit up while he's around, because I don't think owners really understand how to run hockey teams.
Well,
shout out John Henry.
I was going to say John Henry famously had Mookie Betts and a lot of great players in Boston, and he said, get those guys out of here.
Mookie Betts wouldn't sign for $8.7 million. Now, would he, Pete?
That's true.
I would have offered him fucking 87 a year at this rate.
Do you think John Henry bought the Penguins because he was like, ooh, let's look at these player salaries. They're not making anything.
Yeah, he did. He thought that it was just all the same as He was like, I'm getting a sweetheart deal on this team. Whoever the GM is, that's my kind of guy.
Yeah.
Now that person's smart. Shall we get to a slate grade? I think we shall. Let's do it. There are 8 games. Yes. Oh, there are 8 games this evening. Starting with the Lightning at the Canadiens at 7 p.m. Eastern. That, of course, is a Roman Hammerlick Bowl and a Mark Recchi Bowl. Then you've got the Senators at the Rangers at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's a Mika Zibanejad revenge game and a Wade Redden Bowl. Oof.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that? Red Wings at Flyers. That's
Wade
7
Redden.
p.m. Eastern. A Keith Primo Bowl. A Shane Gostisbehere Bowl. Who else we got? A Reggie Leach Bowl. How about an Adam Oates Bowl? We'll hear from him in just a second. Sharks at Predators at 8 p.m. Eastern. You got a Yaroslav Askarov revenge game and a Matt Irwin Bowl. You can't leave out Matt Irwin when you're talking about the Sharks.
Bruins great.
Bruins great. He was there for like 5 minutes.
Yep.
And they waived him, and I think no one wanted him.
Yeah,
that was
tough
a
scene.
When the Bruins got him, people were like, ooh, that was stealth. That was sneaky.
He played like 3 games.
And they were like, He had, do you remember? He had such a bad game before they put him on waivers and nobody touched him. Yeah. Real bummer. I was still covering the team then. Hurricanes at Stars, 8 p.m. We know that that's an Anton Khudobin bowl. Mm-hmm. We know that's an Andre Sekera bowl. Mm-hmm. Who else we got? I'll think about it. Capitals at Oilers, 9 p.m. Eastern. You will not have Connor McDavid in that, as he, we are the first to tell you, has been suspended from this Bill Ranford bowl and from, of course, this Adam Oates bowl. I believe traded for each other once. I believe in the Boston trade, Ranford and Oates were traded for each other, but I'll check that. Sabres at Canucks, that's at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's a Tyler Myers bowl, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been. I mean, it is, I guess.
Count?
But
no,
it definitely counts still because the Bulls.
That's true.
Are retired
a lot of these
Reggie
players
Leach
are
isn't
not playing in
playing
those games
tonight.
tonight. Yes, that's true.
Shout
Good
out
point.
Reggie Leach. Panthers at Ducks, 10 p.m. Two obvious ones. Who wants to grab them?
What would you say? Panthers, Ducks?
Yep.
Frankfurt, Toronto?
We got Frankfurt, Toronto.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. There's got to be a goalie in there.
He prevents you from getting to the goalie.
I wanted to say Radko Gudas, right?
Radko Gudas.
Yeah, okay. I started questioning whether or not he played for the Panthers for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Big Panthers guy. That's right.
A lot of, a couple of Adam Oates bowls tonight. So that's very interesting. Okay.
What do you think about this? Is this an A-? There's a lot of good games here. I think it's kind of borderline.
It is.
Sean, come back to me. I know a way to ramp up this slate. I got you a ticket to a big game. A big game. Check under your desk.
Oh, I love this.
I got you a ticket to a big game. Maybe the biggest game. No, under your desk, not your seat.
This isn't Oprah.
What do you say?
I said this isn't Oprah.
This isn't Oprah, no.
Oh, you taped this good.
I did tape it good.
Yo, people in the chat saying Pete sucks at taping? Wrong.
And they are saying that.
I think you're going to be very excited about the ticket to the big game that I'm giving you here.
Oh, wow. Look
what
how
do we
did
think?
That. It's, you did it during a Slate Grade. I've been invited to Pete's wedding.
Oh, nice.
How about that? Sean, check under.
I got a
Sean,
big
do
desk.
not check under there.
Best man, it says. And
that's right, buddy.
Thank you so much. David Bean, best man, Blackburn. Marrying Ellen, I see. Pete, I love you. Thank you so much, buddy.
You're right. Hell yeah, buddy. Yeah. So,
shout out the summer
that take it
episodes
to
where
an
I
A or
bullied
what?
Pete into doing this. Yes. I mean, August 1st is that's an A slate.
That's right.
It's an
baby.
A slate for a bunch of reasons.
How's the structure? Do we know the time yet?
Oh, good question.
So that's a 10 p.m. start. That's a tough one.
Chat, stop talking about whether I knew what a desk was. I got the ticket, didn't I?
People noting that I'm not invited, but I am not a friend. I'm a producer. I know.
You are invited.
I know.
You are invited. You're invited to the wedding. You're just
not the best man. I can live with that one.
That's gonna. Yeah, what happened to No Boys Allowed, says Ryan S. Oh, apparently you got to get on your tippy toes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever. Stop being mean. This is a nice moment.
No. This is a beautiful moment. It makes my day.
Now, does it make you feel like a huge asshole because you started the day by accusing me? You started this show by accusing me of being a terrible friend. You tried to confuse me with the lineup, the show read, and now I'm closing the show by doing the best thing I could possibly do, which is ask you to be my best pal.
Wow. I love this. The presentation, A.
Yeah, Sean, can you punch in on that?
If he turns it around.
It's a pretty cool
Does it have
Stanley
my
Cup ticket
phone number on it or something?
It probably does. Yeah, your address.
The QR code links straight to your social security number.
So.
This is. Oh, we should all have to wear credentials. That would be sick. Amazing. What chaos live from Pete's wedding? Asks Avery. Not to distract, we do have a live thing coming up soon. that will be in Boston.
We sure do. Also, I got you a nice a couple things to go along with that. I'll save one of them for after the show, but I do want you to see and get your reaction to one of the things that I got you.
I'd like to officially say yes. The chat is noting that I've...
It's like a slate grade. You get so lost in the sauce that you forget to actually give the grade.
Oh, no, I'm going to do a bowl of all the people that Pete and I have both slept with at the wedding. I'm going to be like,
Christ.
oh, this is I'm just kidding.
You're a big
haven't
hat
slept
guy?
with anybody.
And so I wanted to get you that hat, and I figured you'd be very excited about it.
Oh, wow. This is such a good hat.
It's an awesome hat.
Wow.
For anybody not watching or listening on audio, it is a French Bulldog hat from 47, and DJ famously loves French Bulldogs, and it's like the pea coat material.
Yes. Did you get this made?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, they have like a special line of dog hats from 47 brand.
Oh,
I got myself a German Shepherd one.
dog hats and dog tats.
There you go.
LFG. No boys allowed. This rocks. Pete, what a showing from you. All right. The slate's an A-.
I gave you that ticket to push it to an A, and it still got an A minus.
Oh, okay. The slate tonight is,
Well, that's not tonight's slate, though. The ticket's not for tonight.
right.
It's still part of the slate grade.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to squeeze that in, but
Wow. Those hats are great, says somebody. I have one for my dog.
As in, it has your dog on it, or you put it on your dog?
no, it's got the type of dog that you have is on the hat.
Well, that's not. I was asking specifically Dr. Smack, and they said I have one for my dog,
Oh,
and that can mean multiple
I'm
things.
assuming they're repping their dog.
Yeah,
on their
probably.
hat.
But
not to
there's a dog in the picture, so
not to get personal, but my will DJ ever get a dog thing has been really moving towards yes, DJ's going to get a dog.
Wow.
And this is the type of dog that I want to get, but there's some
Pushback.
mitigating circumstances because some people are bad people
Well,
and don't like French bulldogs.
listen. I hate to pick sides here, but I think we can all agree there is a moral question that comes into play with French bulldogs.
That is
agree.
why
They are very cute, but they're
Adopt,
not
don't shop.
designed to live long or have the best quality of life.
you also tend to have to go buy one of those things,
Yes.
as opposed
Yeah.
to adopting the rest.
Which
of
No, there's a
I'm okay with, like, I know like adopting is really, really important, and I want dogs to be adopted. But if you want a specific kind of dog, like I've gotten German Shepherds from a breeder, and I don't feel like I should have to apologize or feel shame for that because I want a German Shepherd, and it's very difficult to get them at shelters.
I think I agree.
I've also adopted dogs too.
yeah. Sean, have I not told you that there's like a dog life hack, which
I don't even know. Couldn't even begin to think about what that means.
which is you buy a dog and just
Lie.
say that.
I mean, I will say,
Or
I-
you're
Lying is pretty sick.
just ask who rescued whom, and you could be talking about anything. That could
I
mean
will
anything.
like I've had like dogs from dog breeders in my life. I think like there's definitely, especially like if you have allergies or you're getting the dog
Yeah.
for a specific purpose.
I
But I think generally, if you just want a dog, you should try and adopt first.
I think that whether you adopt or you shop, you should be focused on being a good person and being a good dog owner, because all your dogs.
And I will
deserve
say,
love.
yeah, Olivia makes a good point. You can just go to a good dog breeder. It's like that.
Right.
That's the difference. Is there's just some evil dog breeders out there.
Okay, well, my heart has been heavily warmed by all this. Pete, you are the greatest. I love you so much. Sean,
Love you
I
too, pal.
consider you a real friend.
I appreciate
and
that.
I
Makes
know
one of
that
you.
Pete does too. So congratulations to everybody for this episode. Thanks to Bob for joining us. Tonight's hockey slate gets an A-, but you know, what if I'm just sitting there looking at this
Just
ticket?
tape it onto your TV. And you're just looking at it the whole time. It like makes the slate look a little better.
Slate improves.
Especially if the Oilers are losing, you could just tape it over the score and be like,
I mean, honestly,
I don't know. Okay.
is there something exciting about McDavid-less Oilers against the Capitals? That just makes it like a little extra crazy, I feel.
I mean, I think especially considering the circumstances, like the Oilers might just be a little pissed off.
Yeah. I mean, there's still juice in that Oilers game for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
They
it's
still
still
have
two of the
one
best
of, like,
teams in
the
hockey.
They still have the best player on the planet right now.
And
whether McDavid is out or not. They
Sabres
still bring on
Canucks, awesome.
Sabres Canucks, I mean, I don't know if awesome is the way I would put it. It's definitely got car crash potential. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Devin Levi, by the way, you are a Rochester American again.
The truest thing said...
Might not be a guy.
The truest
Might
thing
not be
said
a
on
guy.
today's show was Bob Stauffer saying that the Canucks have an A game or a D game.
Yes.
That is the very most true
I would
thing
say
I've
the
heard.
Sabres are right up there too, except they have mostly D games, and then they'll mix in an A game.
I'd say
They,
got, like,
I mean, they take a
B-plus
lot of
game.
they take a lot of tests where they like the multiple choice section. The first half of it, they're really good, and then they get to like the short answer, and they're like, "Fuck!"
They
and
like, don't know how to
and then
spell.
they fail the test. Yeah,
That's
they just exactly. They don't know how to spell at all. So if you give them multiple choices, they're 1 in 4 chance at make them actually think. It's lights out.
I think politics might be the reason Pete doesn't consider Sean a friend. That is not true. I consider Sean a friend.
We'll see you in the
Pete's
invite.
one of
comes
those
in the mail.
dudes that was standing behind the preacher yesterday at the inauguration. It was just like,
No, listen, if I was anybody at the inauguration yesterday, we can be honest, I would have been Mark Zuckerberg.
So you don't say Elon Musk.
No, it would have been Mark. Oh, absolutely not. Shut the fuck up.
That's what
Sean.
I'm saying. As long as you don't say that.
No,
like,
I would have been Mark Zuckerberg because we all saw the picture of Mark Zuckerberg, and sometimes you just can't help but look.
get a good look, Costanza.
Wearing lingerie to a presidential inauguration is a fucking choice.
It's
So-
a choice
yeah.
that you should be allowed to, that Pete, women can dress the way
Yes,
that they would
her
like.
body, her choice.
Yes.
But it is a choice nonetheless, and
I would have
would've
been
looked.
Bernie
I'm sorry.
Sanders just sitting there grumpy as shit at all times. Doesn't matter the circumstance. Bernie Sanders is always grumpy, and I kind of love it.
Let's get political for a second. Bernie, kind of the GOAT. Love you, bud.
But all things
Can we,
considered, yeah.
Can we end this show before chat before chat gets carried away with what they
Chat
think
is
might
long
be
carried away.
there?
This
It's
has
like
been
political fan fiction.
all over the place for the chat today. We've had arguments. We've had talks about Pete's ass.
Well, I mean, famously, I like basically
I mean,
showed my
Pete
ass.
showed ass.
Yeah, I didn't say that they were wrong to be talking about Pete's ass. I was
There
just pointing out
have
that they
been
were.
many times in the history of the show that I have, what is it? What's the not literally? I've metaphorically showed my ass. Today, I
Figuratively showed your
figuratively
ass.
showed my ass. I literally showed my ass today. So, what a show!
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, good. Make sure everybody has liked and subscribed and done all that stuff. Make sure you're subscribed on the Instagram as well. We're doing a little extra of a push to get some of our Instagram content out there, which is nice. And we will talk to you tomorrow.
Hit the like button.
Oh, like
Hit the
spike.
like button. It's
Yep.
the thumbs up button right below the video player. We appreciate all your likes. Thank you for watching today's episode. Thank you to Bob Stauffer for joining us. And stay tuned. We've got some good stuff coming. So YouTube, podcast platforms, follow us everywhere you can. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.